Salute to you all, the brave never fall. Forgiveness is something I always felt in my heart was always very essential, even when I was a child. Going all the way back to my earliest memories, I always understood what that word meant. It had a very big impact on me because it's not just a word, it's the act around forgiving someone. Because in order to forgive someone, that means somebody has done something that is wrong in someone's eyes, whether it's that person's eyes or the eyes of someone else. Somebody has done something that is deemed wrong by another individual or a party of individuals. And in order to move on, there has to be some type of closure, because as human beings, we all get wrapped up in closure. It is something that we think about from the time we're born to the time that we die. Life and death, there's always closure on everything. I'm a lot different when it comes to that. I don't think of things ending. I always think of things continuing from a beginning. My favorite number is the number 8. I was born December 8th, 1979, and that number is just the perfect day. I always think about, of all the days I could have been born on, I was born on 8 because I am obsessed with the universe and how spiritual it actually is when you dive deep into it, especially as a follower of Tao, which I am. It is a version of connecting things. It's a version of spirituality that binds you to everything around you. It is a very, very deep concept to grasp, and that's why I gravitated towards Tao, because it is something that you cannot really understand, but the closer you get to the meaning, even though you will never truly get it because it's beyond you, the closer you get to it, the more enlightened you get, and the more intelligent you are and aware you are about what's going on around you and how people are more connected to you than you think, which is why forgiveness is so deep to me, especially when it comes to closure, not from me, but for other people. Because when you don't forgive someone for something, in my experience, I can't speak for everyone because everyone has their own life experiences and they've all been in situations that are unique to them. And true, it is hard to forgive certain people for things that they've done because they may have been so malicious that you just can't even get your mind to wrap around the fact that this person is going to walk on this earth and you're okay with what they did. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're okay with what they did. It just means you're aware that keeping hatred in your heart is not healthy for your own being, and you're sending out negative vibes and energy to other people because you're holding in negative energy that was pushed upon you by another individual. So it's not even your weight to bear. You can put it down anytime you want. And it doesn't mean that that person has to pick it up. It just means you're not carrying it anymore. When you look at that word forgiveness in that aspect as an actual object that you can pick up and put down and place and move and share and destroy, think of that. Think of how powerful that actually is. If you think of it as you can hold it in your hands and it can be destroyed, then it's no longer there. That means you've gotten rid of it and you can move on to something else that is positive. I've always, even when I was a kid, viewed forgiving someone and the act of forgiveness as an object. I could feel the weight of it. It will wear you down. And the bigger the reason you need to forgive someone, the heavier that weight is. It is a true gorilla on your back. And that gorilla is not going to get off your back until you do something about it. He's going to bully you. He's going to tell you all kinds of things in your ear. He's going to push you in a different direction. He's just going to drain the life out of you. You got to put him down. There are times in your life where there are small acts of forgiveness that happen each day. Somebody will say something to you because they had a bad day, and you can choose to forgive that person for what they said to you. Or you can hold it in your heart for the rest of the day and be upset about something somebody else said out of context because you don't know what that person was going through earlier that day themselves. odds are something happened to them that day that was very similar that happened to you. Somebody probably said something to them that got them upset, and they're trying to find it in their heart how to move past that and maybe forgive. And that is the train that we're on as human beings. We're all connected. So when you're holding all this stuff in, you're not holding the weight of one person. You're holding the weight of countless people because everybody's affected by everyone else. The weight that you hold when you don't forgive and move on and think about yourself first, you're just inviting all those negative vibes and energies from all these people, and an overwhelmingly overwhelmingly, I'm not sure that's a word, an overwhelming majority of those people you'll never meet, you'll never know, they will never influence you. Or do they? Because the funny thing about it is that you're being influenced by people you've never met every single day of your life just by interacting with other people. You don't know everyone on the planet. It's impossible. Social media is bringing us closer together as a society, but it's also pushing us further away because you don't really meet people physically. Meeting someone is meeting someone. If you can physically touch someone, that's meeting someone. As long as you're talking through someone through a computer screen, you might as well draw a picture on the wall with a Sharpie marker and talk to it every day and say, that's my friend. There is no difference. The physical connection is what matters. Now, you can have a spiritual connection with somebody without seeing them, no doubt. The physical connection is something I always like better. Whenever I meet someone new, it is very important to me that I hear their voice and that I see them in person as quickly as possible. If I'm going to feel like I'm going to have a long-term relationship with them. And we're not just talking about a love life or a friendship. This is business. This is maybe deciding what school you want to go to. You need to go there. You can't just look at pictures of the school you want to go to. You need to actually go to that campus and physically take it all in because it makes a world of difference. I feel like we've lost a bit of that with technology and screens and apps and everything that aids us. Now, don't get it twisted in any way. I am a cyborg. We are all cyborgs. If you hold a phone in your hand all day long and it helps you with everything and you figure everything out, you pay this and you're paying your bills and you're talking to people through it, essentially we are all now cyborgs because we can't live without these devices. And in many cases, even if you minimalize it, you're still going to, at best, you may be able to get away from your phone 8 to 10 hours a day, but at some point you're going to have to use your phone. People are trying to get in contact with you. You got to answer social media, what have you. And that circles me back to forgiveness because I feel like even now it's harder to forgive because everybody's so connected on social media that if you forgive someone, it is highly likely that a lot of people are going to know your private business because let's take Facebook, for instance. If somebody has done something to you that's wrong and one person goes and tells all their friends, hey, I'm going through this, they may not even give you any details. But a certain amount of people are going to read that and say, okay, somebody did something wrong to this person. I don't know the person that they're talking about, but I'm just going to read this general information about somebody I've never met. And oh my goodness, it sounds like this person really did this person bad. And I think you can already know where I'm going with this. You didn't get the other side of the information. So the person who is upset with the other person is put in a position, do you want to forgive someone or not? Because it kind of puts you up against the wall. You went online, you talked about all these people, you talked about this person to other people. So if you forgive this person now you're being judged by all the people who had your back and think you shouldn't have done it. So the act of forgiveness in today's world has gotten very weird unless you're a private person. And I think that's very important, which is why I try to be as private as possible because you're influenced by all these people now. And it's always been the case. Influence by people when it comes to forgiveness is a huge thing because you're always going to have people in your life who think you made the wrong decision. You shouldn't have forgave them. I wouldn't have forgiven them. But what these people fail to understand is that you're not living that person's life. You're not carrying that burden, that specific burden. You have no right to tell someone when they should or should not forgive someone. That is the sole decision of the person who's in the position to forgive. If they choose not to, that is their decision. And I've always despised the fact that people think that forgiving someone is a bad thing. Time is always working against you when it comes to things like forgiveness, if you think of it in terms of how long you want to carry something. If the person is truly unable to be forgiven, obviously that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I just found that after a while, as time has passed and you've reflected as much as you're going to reflect, and you've dug so deep into your soul trying to figure out how to deal with all this, that it really does come down to a matter of how do you truly move on? And you just have to put down the weight. Some people don't deserve to be forgiven, and that's clearly obvious. And I never blame anybody for that. That is why I think forgiveness is such an interesting topic, and a human thing that we do that can be very noble, and at times it can be very tragic, because you can forgive someone and it gives off the wrong impression. Because if you forgive someone who's abusing you, or someone who is taking things from your life and is making you deep dive into an abyss of misery, then you're basically telling this person it's okay to do it because I'm forgiving you. And that is a completely different thing, which is why I think the word forgiveness gets skewed so much when people look at it that way, because it's almost as if you're giving someone a pass, or you're saying it's okay with what you did. And I don't view that at all. That's where communication comes in. When you forgive someone, I truly believe it's very important that in the moment you choose to do it, you need to tell this person this, and you need to tell them why you're doing it, and make it very clear. I'm not excusing your behavior. I'm just choosing not to carry your bullshit any longer. And I'm going to move forward in my life without you having this big, dark influence, this big gorilla on my back. Because I didn't ask for this. I don't need this. I love myself more than have to deal with what you have put on me. And I'm going to let you know exactly how I feel. I'm telling you this because I want you not to put someone else what you've put me through. The act of forgiving is actually helping someone else in the future. If this person is allowed to do whatever they're doing, either they're going to do it anyway, or they're going to look at you and say, how many times can I do this to you? And if it's a one-time mistake, learn from that. Forgive them, learn from it, and move on. It will help you. You will feel so much better when you've forgiven someone and you've kind of moved on. Now, this isn't advice for anybody. I always tell people, your situation is your situation. And you have to go into that situation having done the proper homework for yourself. You have to love yourself enough to know when you should forgive someone, but more importantly, why you should. If there's no why you should forgive someone, you haven't searched enough. You haven't thought about it. It is not an easy thing. I don't think people understand that when you forgive someone, it is not supposed to be an easy thing you come to a conclusion with. And I believe the act of forgiveness should follow in the footsteps of deep reflection over a long period of time. It shouldn't be a quick reaction. It shouldn't be something that is just thrown out there just so you can get this person to either stay in your life or leave your life, or you want instant closure. It should be something you think about. Because again, you're holding a weight and you want to put it down carefully. And if possible, you want to make sure that it's destroyed so it doesn't happen again. I know in my heart, when I forgive someone, even for the darkest things that they've done, I'm saying to myself, I love myself enough where I'm not going to carry this weight. Because it's a negative weight. It is holding me down, and it does me no good to carry a weight. I can still be upset. I can never talk to that person again. And those are all things maybe you should do. But that does not mean you should carry the weight of someone else's act when you feel like you've been done wrong. Because at some point, you're going to do something wrong. And that's where the door swings both ways. No one is perfect. And would you want someone to walk around for the rest of their life? Let's say you did something and you regretted it. See, that's the opposite end of it. You have forgiveness and you have regret. If you're regretting something and you want a person to forgive you, just think about how empty you feel when you want someone to know that you've changed, you are sorry, you have done your homework as well, and you regret everything you did, and you have become a better person for it, and then someone forgives you for it. Now, I don't believe in closure and it has to be done this way and everything's fine after someone forgives you just because you have regret and you said you were sorry. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm saying the opposite, actually. I'm saying you're just opening up a space where both of you have put down burdens and you can move on, either together or apart. But the burden has been addressed and the gorilla on both your backs have been put down. And that's what I've always thought in my mind, even when I was a kid, is that whole concept of forgiveness and then the person who wants to be forgiven. It's a very unique relationship you would have with someone. It's a very unique relationship. But I find it's healthy to forgive people for what they've done. Some people, not so much. Not everyone can be forgiven. But if you can find it in your heart to do it for yourself, I say go for it. Even if that person is not even alive anymore, or you will never really physically talk to them again, it doesn't matter. Energy is energy. We're all connected. Dig deep and forgive. But the important message I would like to share with forgiveness is that it is individually based and individually based on your circumstances and the situations you've been in, the people you're connected with. I just like to bring up the topic because it's something that I get asked a lot about. A lot of people I have forgiven that in the eyes of other people think I shouldn't have, and vice versa. I'm pretty sure I've done things in my life that other people think someone should not have forgiven me for, and these people have, which is why I reflect so deeply on it, because I've been on both sides and I know what it feels like to hold the weight of both regret and forgiveness. But I also know how good it feels to get through those barriers one way or the other. If you've done something bad and you don't feel regret, that's a problem. If someone else has done something bad to you and you're capable of forgiving and you want to hold hatred in your heart, I think that's a problem as well. If you value yourself as a human being, I think you owe it to yourself to at least consider the possibility that you can put that weight down, that you don't have to carry it, that it will be okay, that who cares what other people think about you and the decision you made for yourself through self-love to forgive somebody for an act that in the eyes of other people is too insane or just too malicious to ever be forgiven. That's those people's choices. They don't make choices for you. They don't get to walk in your shoes. They haven't been you. They never will. And it's up to you to figure out how deep you want to go into yourself to figure out, is it worth taking the time to communicate with someone else about forgiving them? You find something out about yourself when you start thinking about forgiveness. You find something out about yourself when you start thinking about regret. You learn about deeper connections with other people through regret and forgiveness. It is something that I feel very deeply is important in every life. As important as love, as important as hate, as life and death itself. Forgiveness is a very integral part of every human being's life. And so is regret. But it's what you choose to do with those things that makes all the difference. You can hate someone your entire life. It's your life. Or you can choose to love people who deserve to be loved. It's your life. How do you want to live your life? That's the question. How much weight are you willing to carry from other people? And how much negative energy are you willing to keep within inside yourself? Holding in grudges and being angry and upset with memories that are long gone, that have strengthened you in ways you don't even realize because you haven't dug deep enough to really feel what that has really done to you. And that's what I love about forgiveness. Whenever I get to the point where I'm the wheels are turning in my head, my heart's heavy as it ever has been, I always feel like there's time to dig deep. And usually what I find in there is that there's some things in there that are bothering me that I need to break through as a barrier. And a lot of times it really does come down to forgiveness. I feel like somebody has done something to me and I need to say or do something about it. And instead of holding it in, I actually act on it. And ever since I started doing that, no matter how uncomfortable it is, I have been better off for it. If I feel regret in my heart about something, I make it very clear to whoever it is that I feel that regret towards, that I feel like I owe an explanation to or an apology, or I need them to forgive me for something. I make sure that I dig deep, I figure out what that is, and I tell this person why I feel this way, and I hope they find it in their heart to forgive me. That is my new bar. That is my new norm. That is a boundary I have for myself. Because I love myself, and I owe it to myself to make sure I'm not carrying unnecessary weight and holding in negative energy. So the next time someone comes to you and says, "Will you forgive me?" dig deep and consider the possibility. Don't be so reactionary in the moment. It may feel good in the moment to say, "I'll never forgive you." And maybe you still could say that, but reflect on it. Come back to it. Don't just make a quick decision, because that's really, in a way, makes it worse. It's just going to make you think about it even more. In order to grow, you must break through barriers that are holding you back. And you can only do that through reflection and self-love. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.